I really don't care what happens at all. I don't care. Like, everybody they tiptoe around with this social media, but what y'all don't get is that it be real consequence for y'all little flexes, y'all quick flexes for $300 that you need. It be consequence.
It began with a sentence that cut deeper than anyone could have anticipated, a verbal strike that shattered the fragile peace of a very public, very private family drama. Iman Shumpert
weren't lyrics in a song or some vague Instagram caption. This was a father, a man who had built his image around family, around loyalty, around being present, choosing to speak from the chest. And the way he said it wasn't just about Aaron. It was about something much bigger. It was about the people watching, the children at the center, and the idea of who deserves to stand close when family is on the line. For a long time, people had been whispering about tension.
He looked into the heart of the situation and declared, with chilling clarity, that Aaron Pierre could not be trusted and was not a role model. The air in the court of public opinion shifted instantly. These words, emanating from a father who had built his post-athletic identity around family, loyalty, and presence, were impossible to dismiss as casual venting. To outsiders, it looked like Teyana had found someone who could hold her hand while she rebuilt.
But anyone who's lived long enough knows pictures don't always tell the truth. Behind the curtains, things weren't as clean as they seemed. Aaron's charm was undeniable, but it also came with a share in conversations that should have been calm. The shift was subtle at first, but it became harder to ignore. And for Iman's stand where he used to stand, it was seeing how that presence rippled through his kids' lives. Iman had always prided himself on being a father first, and ever since Iman and Teyana Taylor went their separate ways, the world had been waiting for cracks to show. Their love story had looked perfect from the outside, almost too perfect, like a dream the culture wanted to believe in. They were the couple that inspired fans, the ones that proved you could have fame, music, basketball, fashion, and still make love look solid. But behind closed doors, reality was left. At first, he seemed harmless enough. An actor with ambition, a man who brought fresh energy into Teyana's life at a time when she was trying to heal and rediscover herself. The photos looked warm. The smiles seemed convinced into something bigger, an eruption waiting to happen. That eruption came the day Iman decided to call Aaron out directly, without sugarcoating, without leaving space for interpretation. When he said Aaron couldn't be trusted, it wasn't just a casual opinion. It was a verdict based on what he'd seen, what he'd felt, and what he couldn't allow anymore. The word trust isn't small. It carries weight, especially when it's tied to family. Especially when children are involved. If you can't be trusted around the most delicate parts of someone's life, you can't be trusted at all. And then came the second blow, almost sharper than the first. Aaron is not a role model. Those were, no matter what went wrong between him and Teyana, his children were his anchor. He showed up to games, he carried them on his shoulders, he cheered from the sidelines, and he made sure they never felt abandoned. So when he saw signs that Aaron might not have the same understanding of what it meant to nurture, protect, and guide, the frustration grew heavier. At first, Iman tried to keep it quiet. He held his tongue through the interviews. He bit back his thoughts when fans speculated online. He even ignored the whispers from friends who warned him about Aaron's intentions. But silence doesn't erase worry, and sometimes silence stayed quiet and let the public assume. This was deeper. This was about the safety of children, about what they see, about what energy they absorb. Iman wasn't just protecting his pride. He was protecting his bloodline, and anyone who's been in that position knows the difference. Still, the question lingered. What exactly had Aaron done to spark such a reaction? That's where the story twists again. People close to the circle began to leak stories, little details that painted a larger picture. Some claimed Aaron had overstepped boundaries when it came to disciplining or guiding the kids,
Aaron had fundamentally failed this test.
acting as though his word carried more weight than Iman's. Others suggested he had moments of arrogance, treating the family dynamic as though it revolved around him, not realizing how fragile those connections already were. And in the middle of all this was Teyana's words echoed louder than the first claim, because they painted a picture of influence gone wrong. To be a role model isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent, being dependable, being someone others can look up to without fear of betrayal. In Iman's eyes, Aaron had failed that test. The reactions came fast. Fans flooded social media with shock, memes, debates, and endless theories. Some people immediately sided with Iman, praising him for stepping up, saying it was about time someone put Aaron in his place. Others accused him of being bitter, jealous, unable to move on from seeing another man with his ex. The split was sharp, and the arguments only added fuel to the fire. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about jealousy. If it were only about envy, Iman could have. Her role in the middle was undeniable. And the longer she stayed quiet, the louder the world's opinions grew. Celebrities didn't stay out of it either. A few big names reposted Iman's statement, adding their own opinions about men stepping into families with children. Some called it disrespectful for Aaron to even be in that position without first earning the trust of the father. Others mocked the drama, turning it into jokes for clout. But beneath the laughter and hashtags, the core issue remained serious. Who gets to influence the next generation, and what happens when their influence feels toxic? Iman's decision to go public wasn't just some heated outburst in the middle of the night. It was calculated, deliberate, and heavy with meaning. It wasn't the type of rant you see on social media every day, where someone... Imagine the weight on her shoulders. On one side, a man she once loved deeply, the father of her children, demanding that she see the cracks. On the other, the man she was currently tied to, trying to prove himself in a world already judging him. For Teyana, silence became both a shield and a prison. The more she avoided speaking, the more people speculated about where her loyalty really stood. Some fans swore she defended Aaron privately. Others believed her silence was proof that Iman's words carried truth. Either way, that's what made his words sting so deeply. When he called Aaron out, it wasn't just name-calling or mudslinging. It was Iman drawing a clear line in the sand, saying, "This far, no further. Step over this line, and it won't be more words. It will be consequences." That message was powerful, not just because of what was said, but because of who was saying it. Fans immediately felt the gravity of the situation. This wasn't going to fade quietly into the background. Questions began to swirl. Would Aaron respond and defend his image? Would Teyana finally break her silence and speak on the matter, even if it meant fueling the fire? Or would this messy and painful clash spill even deeper into the public, dragging private wounds into the spotlight for the world to dissect? Each possibility carried its own storm, and none of them looked peaceful. And one thing became undeniable. Once one posts and deletes in a rush of emotions. No, this was different. This was a warning shot, fired with precision. Doubted how serious he was about his children. For Iman, this wasn't about clout, headlines, or camera time. He wasn't chasing the attention of gossip pages. He wasn't trying to stir up drama for the sake of a trending topic. He was fighting for something far more important: his kids, his role as a father, and the safe space he believed his children deserved to grow up in. It was a reminder that while adults can argue, break up, and go their separate ways, children shouldn't be forced to carry the weight of those fractured foundations. They shouldn't be left to question who they can trust or who truly has their best interests at heart.
To remind everyone watching, including the young eyes at the center of it all, that not every smiling face deserves a crown, and not every loud voice deserves authority. Sometimes protecting your family means risking your own polished image. And sometimes the most resonant truth comes from the quietest man, when he finally decides he has no choice but to speak.